Have you heard about mole world dreams? Why do I ask? Because people are coming together and telling their story about how they're all having the same dreams and waking up in the same places. It's like going to sleep and having a dream and then waking up and saying to yourself, that felt so real. Everyone online is talking about this place called Mole World. Thousands upon thousands of people have claimed to have visited the same place while dreaming. What if this place, hear me out, is not a dream, but just turns out to be a part of a simulation? People have described that in the videos that the escalators in the mall led to nowhere, always with no, and also elevators with floors that did not match what they said. People have also claimed to see a playground in their dreams and also claimed to hear children laughing, but none can be seen. So my question to you is, have you ever experienced this dream of a mole world? Do you think that maybe this is a place where we go to reset our minds, to get our thoughts? Or is it just where we actually live? And when we wake up, we're in the simulation. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Well, Mole World. Have you heard of it? Have you been there in your dreams? Please let me know below.
You visited Mall World in your dreams? Mall World is this dream location where all these structures are connected. An airport, a school, a mall, a parking garage, all connected. And tons of people are saying that they visit this same world in their dreams. And since I have been a professional dream analyst for 30 years, I figured I should address it. So here's what it is and why so many of us experience it. Mall World is basically your subconscious architecture. The dreaming mind speaks to us in metaphors and symbols, and it will show us our lives, our psyche, in the form of structures, rooms, and landscapes, so that we can better understand ourselves and therefore better navigate our lives. And each part of Mall World represents different areas of your life, such as the social area, the career area, the romantic area. And whichever part of Mall World that your dream takes place in, that's the area of your life that your subconscious mind is addressing through your dream. So let's unpack some of the areas of Mall World so you can see what I mean. Public bathrooms. You will find yourself in a bathroom in a dream when there is an area of your life where you need to let go of frustrations or negativity or anger. If the bathroom in your dream is gross or the toilets are clogged, that means your psychological plumbing is not working effectively. Frustration, negativity, grudges are clogging your ability to let go. Escalators in your Mall World will represent the area of your life where you are excelling, or you have the opportunity to excel and move on up to the next level. A parking garage will represent an area of your life where you have things on hold, where something is parked, a relationship, a project, something is parked and not progressing and moving forward. A mall or shops in your dream will represent an area of your life where you are in the market for something new. Maybe you need a new partner, maybe you need a new career, a new diet. There's something new you want to bring into your life. And the airport, that will represent the area of your life where things are about to take off. Ideas, projects, careers. This is the part of your psyche where you can really go places. So whatever is going on in that particular area of Mall World and the condition of that area of Mall World will reflect how well or how poorly that area of your life is doing. See how it works? Mall World is your inner world. And there are so many pieces to it because there are so many pieces to you. Remember, your dreams are all about you or all about that which directly affects you. Your dreams are messages from you to you about you in order to improve you. I hope this helps. Share your Mall World with me in the comments. Let's see how similar our dreams are. And until next time, sweet dreams.
Yes, please do share if you've had an experience with More World. Interesting what she said, that it all represents different things. Go to the toilet to let all your crap go. But it doesn't explain why all these people seem to be having the same dream, or at least going to the same place when they dream. I mean, what could this mean? Is it a simulation and this is like some kind of, backdoor room to the simulation or, dream room? Or is it something to do with collective consciousness and that, the whole thing that we're really just one? And so we're all kind of experiencing the same reality on some level. I don't know. It's an interesting one, but I just wanted to show it because a lot of people are talking about this and saying that they're all going to the same place. So please let me know your comments. Have you been there? How you going, guys? Welcome. Campbell here from Autodidactic, which of course means to be self-educated. And it's best to be self-educated because if we're not, the only choice we have left is to believe what other people tell us. Believe the media, believe the screen, believe people who are just talking opinion based on opinion, right? We've really got to find our own truth in this world because it's getting pretty crazy out there.
At what point is this no longer a coincidence? We have Men in Black from 1997. And in this corner over here, you have a plane flying. If you zoom in, there's a plane flying across the screen. Then the screen changes to the Twin Towers. And then the scene changes once again to a plume of dust and debris and smoke. Is that a coincidence? Ask yourself the question. Now, if that's not enough for you, in the movie The Patriot, the first words that were uttered in that movie was 9 pounds, 11 ounces, perfect. That's Mel Gibson's opening dialogue, and that came out a year before 9/11. In Back to the Future, after the clock tower gets detonated, explodes, etc., we have a 9 and an 11 leading up to the tower. And that's not to mention also what happened in the Twin Pine Mall parking lot in the other Back to the Future. The Simpsons also has all kinds of symbology around 9/11 as well. But I'm sure this is just nothing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and follow for more.
Predictive programming, hey, they always let us know, right? They put it out into the subconscious to get us used to these events so that when they happen, we're not so stunned, right? We kind of start to believe their narrative, right? Which is already pre-made. And, this is what's going on at the moment, right? And, has been forever, but especially the last 5 years. But at the moment, it's a whole digital ID. And they're pushing all this stuff and basically and they've been trying to get us ready for this for a long time. And they have been, right, with all the phone sign-ins and the password changes and oh my God. Um, but yeah, predictive programming, we see this in a lot of movies. So do you believe it's real? Like, do you think that this is an agenda that they're doing to show us the plan, or do you not? And if you do, have you got any movies? Leave it in the comments that might be showing us what they're planning re this digital ID.
This is a little neon bulb. Neon? It's just a little neon bulb. And I will say, when you light this up, it is orange as can be. And there's a copper twirled around us. So if you look at the top of that, I don't know if you can see that, if I kind of try to move it around as well, but there's copper in a coil around that. And these are neon bulbs. But when you light this up, it looks exactly like the sun. So if you see back in the 1900s, they started to understand that they could mimic the sun. They could mimic these things, and they could bring bulbs into the house, which are very healing. Somebody just said neon bulb, orange, copper intertwined. Yes, that's what this is. And these little bulbs, and you can put these in your room. And it's like you have a little sun in your room. And this is the thing, is this is what we're supposed to bring into our house. The old-fashioned bulbs, the incandescents, the Edison bulbs, all these original bulbs. This is what heals people. These LEDs and this stuff this is what's causing people to have headaches, migraines. They're like, I can't figure it out. Well, your screen is blinding you. Your TV is blinding you. Your computers, all these things, they got LEDs, all this stuff in here. And people don't realize that even when it gets into lights, we used to have in the screens were LCD. So liquid crystal
Display. I think he was going to say liquid crystal display. Yeah. So our screens used to go through crystals, right? Literally. And now it's all not that anymore. I'm not sure what the tech is these days, a whole smart TV thing. But yeah, it's interesting. Like back in the, gosh, I think it was the 90s in Australia, they basically banned incandescent bulbs. And their reason, global warming, of course, right? They're saving the planet while they continue to mine and fly around in their private jets and on their boats. And you know the story, right? But yeah, do you use these bulbs, incandescents, or are you under LCD? I've unfortunately got a few LCDs. I think above me it's an incandescent. But yeah, this is a big thing, you know, the whole light therapy. So if you want to learn more about that, check out Jack Cruz. But all this, you know, all the electronics, they are messing with our circadian rhythms and our mind because of the blue red band frequency and when we're supposed to have them. And of course, computers pump out blue light. And so if we're watching computers after the sun goes down, it starts to mess with us, unless we have blue block glasses, of course.
Hey guys, cameraman here. My two daughters just brought to my attention after they actually looked on a web, you know, there was something on Facebook or whatever. This is a brand new pad out of a Libra packet, and it's actually got yellow, some sort of yellow something. There's something added to it. We can tell, mate, I do cosmetics. I know when something's contaminated. This pad is contaminated and it's brand new out of the packet. So ladies, like my daughters are freaking now. It's not supposed to be there, but if you cut this pad open, you can't see the yellow stuff. It's only under light. So just be careful out there, girls, because my girls are now very, very seriously, I don't know. Let's cut the bed sheets up, eh?
Yes, ladies, be careful. They just put it in everything, right? Like at the moment, in this crazy realm we find ourselves in, this strange life, it's really a battle to take in the least amount of chemicals that you can, right? So yeah, beware of everything. And this is another thing is everything's changing, right? We're going into a new place. And of course, you know, the Allites want it to be a control system, but it's not going to be. It's going to be what we want. And so this is why there's more opportunity now than ever. Like we need someone to sort this out, to come up with a better product, right? That's not contaminated, as we do with everything. You know, so whatever it is that you're good at, that you love to do, begin it.
First hour after waking, your brain is in theta wave state, most programmable. What you do now sets your neural patterns for the day. Check phone? You just trained reactive anxiety. Scroll social media. You programmed comparison thinking. Instead, hydrate, 5-minute meditation, move your body, set intention. You're not being productive. You're literally programming your brain's operating system for the next 16 hours. First hour determines the day. Choose carefully.
Yes, how do you start your day? Is it with intention? Every morning I actually do the get your shit together hour. So I spend, you know, an hour-ish talking with people over different concepts and how we can manifest better and make the world a better place. If you want to join, you can, tartariaaustralia.com. Yeah, how do you start your morning? Let me know.
The government can't legally control you, but they are just about to trick you into giving them permission. And there's something really huge that they don't want you to know. You are a living, breathing human being, created by nature with natural rights that existed a long time before any government. But in their legal system, they created something called a person, which is essentially a bit like a corporation. You can think of it as a paper identity that can be regulated, taxed, penalised and controlled even when you haven't caused harm, loss or injury to anyone. And here's the mind bender. They have conditioned us from birth to believe that we are that person. School, media, government forms all train you to identify as this legal entity. But right now, you can still realise that you are not their creation. You can demand that they prove that you are or represent that person, and most of the time they can't. That's how you exit their system. The key is that statutes only and regulations only apply to persons and not to a living being like you. So how do they get around this? They need to close the gap between you and the person, and that is where digital ID comes in. They're not just scanning your face for convenience. They are using your biometrics, so your unique physical features, to create what they would call an unbreakable chain that links you, the living being, to their person. And once that link is established, they will argue that every law applies to you automatically, that they can track and control your every move, that your consent becomes permanent and irrevocable, and also that you lose the ability to say, I don't represent your person. Your face will be used as an invisible contract that will be really hard to dispute. Without this link, you need to be asked who you are, and you can lawfully say, prove that I represent this person, show me the contract, which they can't do because most people haven't signed one. But with digital ID, the need to identify yourself will be gone. It doesn't mean that you are or are contracted to represent the person, but saying no to biometric ID forces them to ask the question. So together, knowing that you are not a person and you don't represent one, and saying no to digital ID means that you can choose freedom over false authority, and that ends the rat race for you and makes life better for everyone else in the process. If this is interesting to you and you want to know more, then take a look at Not a Person.
That's a good point. Once, people submit to this digital ID, that means that every time they do anything, they'll be doing it under the guise of that person, which is a corporate entity, right? A dead entity, the corporation. So yeah, that's another reason to just not comply. I mean, we can't, right? This is the step that we can't let happen, especially to us, and other people obviously will, who are out there, but that doesn't matter for us. Like, we just have to confirm to ourselves and anyone who thinks they have any authority over us that we are living men and women. We are not persons.
This is a mechanical model of what you've just seen. Instead of a row of coils, we've got a row of rods. We're going to feed them with alternating current so that each one can rise and fall. And when we turn the whole thing, we get the impression of something travelling along. But I want you to notice that nothing actually travels along, because each rod only moves up and down. The thing that makes it real is when we put something into one of the troughs of the wave. Then something real travels along. You can make it go the other way. If you watch an individual rod, such as this one, you'll see that it's only going up and down. There is no horizontal movement at all. Only the ball is a real thing moving side to side.
The electrons aren't moving in your wire. The electrons aren't moving down the wire to get to power your power plant. What's really happening is that you are stimulating the ether, right? You're stimulating the ether. This shoots up, then this shoots up, and this shoots up, and this shoots up. It looks like a movement to us because it forms a wave over time. It's exactly the same phenomenon as watching the wave in a football stadium or a sporting event. When you're watching the wave in the sporting event, the fans aren't running around with the wave, but it looks like a moving wave because of the time when the people are standing up. Imagine the 0-point energy all around you is the same exact way. That's what's happening. That's what he's saying is actually happening, is that you're not actually seeing the movement of the electrons here. What you're seeing is this illusion that looks like movement because of the relative stimulations of these electrons from potentially the 0-point energy.
Yeah, interesting, right? Waves. The higher frequency energy moves the lower frequency, right? The solid. That's how we get movement. Interesting. But also, this, could point to the fact that all this electricity grid that they've got around that we pay for and all these power stations and things like this could just be fake. or they could be doing something completely different than what we're told, because there is free energy. The ether is full of it. It's an electric world.
So it turns out that the Nazis got this right again. They knew what Hyperborea and Agartha actually was, and that's why they were so interested in building these flying saucers that could go and fly up north and make it past the atmospheric barrier that kept all these other regular wooden ships out of the floating city of in the sky, also called New Jerusalem and the land of Jesus. And this is why we see on the German flat earth map from World War II, their version of all the continents of Earth is a little bit different than what we see on the United Nations approved map of the Earth that we use. It shows other lands up north like Hyperborea with the land with 4 rivers in between it and divided into the 4 corners of the Earth. But we also see other lands in like the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean, like Atlantis and Lemuria, that no one even knows about because they're hidden from our maps. But this German map is actually a reflection of the moon, which I know we've already talked about before. But they believe that the moon acted as a reflection in the sky that showed all of the lands on Earth in a X-ray vision imprint on top of the moon.
Interesting. I haven't seen that map before. The whole moon map. What do you think of that? It's interesting that the moon is silver, and it's associated with silver. And in old-fashioned photography, they used to use silver halide. So did it take a photo somehow? Does it take a photo every reset or something like that? What do you reckon? But the Germans, good rabbit hole there. And of course, they have been vilified quite a lot, especially by the small hat people, right? There's this big narrative, but is it true? If you want to get a different perspective, go to Rumble and look at Europa, the last battle. But yeah, they were definitely interested in all this stuff, right? The relics, they had the bell and other UFO type things, right? Flying saucers. Of course, Admiral Byrd, there was a battle down at Antarctica where they were described, as being in flying saucers. There's a whole Vril society. I mean, there's so much in there. So what did they know? And interesting that he said that they built the flying saucers, whatever we want to call them, right? These modes of transport to go to Hyperborea, which is on many, many, many maps, by the way. Because when you read the old stories about people going up to to the Arctic in boats, there's all these stories that all the rivets get sucked out, basically that the boats get pulled apart because all the metal, the iron, magnetic metal gets sucked out, right? Gets ripped off because there's this big magnetic force. So that's an interesting little, tidbit that he put in there. But what do you think about all this? Does Hyperborea exist? Is the moon a map? And who were the Nazis?
Okay, but like now what? You've unplugged from the Matrix. You know that you're in the Matrix. You go back in the Matrix, observe other people who don't know they're in the Matrix. Now what? Your only job, now that you have this newfound awareness, is to enjoy it. Oh my God, no, but like this reality fucking sucks. What do you mean it fucking sucks? Do you know how lucky you are to have unplugged from limitation and fear and scarcity? Yes, it is challenging to still live in the 3rd dimensional realm where everyone is still plugged into that channel of the Matrix, but you can't leave the Matrix. You're not superior because you can see through it. You're here to be a guide. You're here to have a domino effect on the rest of the collective. You are here right now, your only job is to listen to your intuition, okay? Is to go within your being and to look at that fear and that sadness, that rejection, that loneliness, and alchemize all of those lower frequencies back into love. Your job here is to learn how to offer yourself that unconditional love that God has offered to you the second that you were here. And when I say God, I don't mean some bearded guy, okay? I'm talking about the infinite divine creator of everything that is. I'm talking about infinite consciousness. You are so inherently worthy, and your entire life you have been programmed to believe that you are not. So you need to train yourself to return to that self-love. Can you offer yourself love in those moments where you think you are not worthy of it? And I know it sounds stupid, and I know manifestation, oh my God, reprogram your subconscious. all of it, you don't feel safe and you don't feel good enough. That's it. You don't feel safe, you don't feel good enough. You don't think you've worked hard enough. You don't think you've deserved it, because we live in a world where you need to study really hard to get good grades and you need to earn your diploma and earn your success. No, you are a child of God and you are such a beautiful, infinite spiritual being. And now that you know all of these things, what do you want to do? How do you want to create? How do you want to serve? How do you want to have fun? How do you want to be in a state of receivership all the time? You must go within your being and look at the parts of yourself that do not feel good enough to receive. You have always been good enough to receive, but you have been trained to give. You have been trained that everything starts on the outside. It's a fucking illusion. It's a video game. Welcome to the play, buddy. Level player 1, whatever it is. You're here to have fun. You're here to enjoy it. So, oh my God, I can't do all of these things because it's low vibrational. Nothing is low vibrational unless you decide that it is. Yeah, but like, I don't want to go to raves. Don't go to raves. Yeah, but I don't want to drink out. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. If you want to be by yourself and go live in the woods, you can do that. If you want to travel the world, you can do that. Yeah, but like, I just want to make money and do nothing. That's not true, because if you had all the money in the world, you would still want to do something. So if money wasn't a question, what would you want to do with your soul? How, like, what is your intuition calling you to that you have been ignoring because you're scared? And whatever it is. What do I do now? What do you mean, what do you do now?
Yes, well, you are definitely worthy. And this is what society is, right? This is why they program us, why they send us to school, to build in limitations, which we build into ourselves, right? They program us that we're not good enough, that we have to trust the experts, that, we have to rely on this outside world to get anything done. We're not worthy, right? Or capable of doing things ourselves. And the whole abundance thing, the world is abundant. Look around. Look around at an apple tree. How many apples do you get for one tree from one seed? And then every apple that grows on it has another, 10 seeds in it. Abundance. This is all we see, but we've been trained for lack. And I think this is what's, holds a few people back from really stepping out and doing what they want to do, is it's also built in that we need the system, that we need to rely upon the system. And without the system, we would die, right? Where would we live? Where would we get our food? Oh my God, what would we do? Well, all the system is a control system and a restriction system, just to hold us back, make us more controllable. So I guess the question is, what do you really want to do? What are you good at? What comes easy? What is of value? And start working on that and be open to receive.
You'll never find another community complex more dense than this place in the world. Today we're in the largest community complex in the world, housing 500,000 residents.
But are we on the ground floor?
Nah. What's behind me is a normal plaza, but if we go this way, there's one layer down here, there's more layer down there, and that's not even the bottom. So now we're on the other side of the street, and there's one layer in here, there's one layer down there, and there's another layer all the way down there.
Whoa, this is Coruscant in real life.
And the craziest thing isn't even about the ground floor, but the density of this place.
Sunlight, what's that?
And these buildings are fully integrated into the intersection. They've got everything in this community. There's a dolphin-shaped shopping mall, futuristic twin towers, an incompleted Empire State Building replica, and a massive European-style mansion that belongs to none other than the developer himself. And remember, literally everything in this video are shot within one community complex.
Oh, let me...
I have questions about China. What is going on there? We get so many different narratives. Of course, it's vilified. It's the big bad beast that's coming to get us all. It's communist and repressive. Yet there's Chinese people all around the world in every country. How does that happen? And they're running the businesses. How does that happen if they're all communist and repressed? Then we have the 1.2 billion people that are supposed to be there. Yet, my bestie was there 18 months ago, said it was empty, didn't see hardly any people at all. It was empty. And then all these videos came out showing the same thing. And now we have, videos showing that they've got the digital ID like locked in, and people are losing bank accounts, and it's creating homeless people, and people are getting locked out of the system. But we also have these videos like the last one we saw coming out showing all this tech and what looks like a fairly free city and society. Though, of course, it could just be, a very nice 15-minute city. I don't know. What do you think is going on in China? Let me know in the comments.
You want to see just how fake history is? Look at these two photos. This is the state capitol building here in Olympia, Washington. We're told it was built between 1922 and 1928, and yet here it is on a map of Olympia, Washington from 1920. And look, that westernmost building isn't here anymore. It's just a parking lot now. And this is an 1890s illustration of Olympia, Washington. And most of these buildings aren't here anymore, but a few of them are. For instance, that's the old state legislative building that used to have an 8-sided clock tower on it. That clock tower burnt down in a mysterious fire, as did, I presume, most of the buildings that I'm looking at here. Because again, this isn't a fanciful illustration, I think it's a literal one. The founders came and found all of these buildings that were already here, drew them, mapped them, and if you look at this very interesting thing, see where it says Smith, DC? Whole swaths of this early map are carved up and set aside for certain families. And the Smith family is one of the most prestigious families here in Olympia, Washington. Their name's on all of these old buildings. And this is just one tiny example. Here's a much bigger example. This is the Palace of Parliament in Bucharest, Romania, the heaviest building in the world. And they said it went up in the 80s, kind of in the dead of night. Yet here's an old map, and it's on this map way before the 80s. Here it is. Like, I'm pretty sure that's fucking it right there. So again, they're all liars. All these founders, all these Freemasons, all these lawyers who tell you what the history books are. They're lying. They're lying the same way they're lying about Epstein. They're lying about everything. They blow up all this infrastructure and just sit atop the ruins, squat in all the most magnificent things they don't blow up. And the rest of us live in shitbox apartments that they keep upping the rent. Like, when is this shit paid for? Again, they paid for nothing. They founded it. So they're losing control of all narratives, but I think the historical narrative is the most powerful one to wrestle back from their control. Let's put a real history together. Let's figure out who was here before us, who actually built all these amazing structures, and stop listening to the paper salesman. Anyone who has a paper accreditation, paper documents, paper history, it's all fucking fake and burnable. Stones don't lie, so listen to them.
His story. What do you think about history? What's going on? Clearly, it's not what we're told, right? The whole story's been changed, the calendars have been changed, and it's all falling apart, like he said. If you're into Tartaria, check out my main channel, Autodidactic, if you haven't already. But yeah, there's so many questions, right? But very interestingly, they had those maps, and they were showing buildings that shouldn't be there, that shouldn't have been built, right? I mean, that's kind of proof positive that they were there. They were found by those people who like their free masonry, right? Free buildings. But anyway, leave me your comments below. What's going on with history?
My people, I have remained silent long enough. But tonight I must speak, because our nation stands on the edge of economic collapse, and leadership has lost its way. Prime Minister Starmer promised stability, unity, and prosperity. Instead, we see uncertainty, division, and families pushed to breaking point. The cost of living soars, small businesses crumble, and the British spirit, once unshakable, now trembles. Let me be clear, the Crown does not govern, but it does guard the nation. And when government forgets duty, the monarchy must remind it. I have therefore called my Privy Council to review every constitutional measure, including the possible dissolution of Parliament, if order and accountability are not restored. This is not defiance, it is duty. Britain belongs not to politicians, but to its people. And as your king, I will not watch it fall in silence.
Well, pretty sure that was AI. I don't think we would hear those words out of the out of the mouth of old Big Ears there. You know, we all know his past, right? Who his heritage is and what his family have done. And that's all apart from the fact that they sit on all this wealth while they're, you know, people in the UK are homeless and don't have enough food, right? And then they take half the tax money to basically upkeep their residences, including their private residences. So let me know, but I'm pretty sure that was just AI. Why you would choose Prince Charles to give that message, I got no idea.
This week, I did something I never thought I'd do. Magic mushrooms. I'm not having a three-quarter life crisis. My daughter Roz, who's a scientist at UCL, gave me a call asking if I would volunteer for her new study, a psilocybin study. Previous trials have found that psilocybin is effective for easing depressive symptoms such as sadness, anxiety and fatigue, and that those given psilocybin reported greater improvements in how close they felt to others. It was clinical. I took a tiny pill, then I lay down, put on a black eye mask and waited, and then whoosh! It was a full sensory takeover. Blobs of colour were rushing at me like I was on a high-speed, crazy roller coaster. I felt like my entire physical body was splitting into quarters. I'm an academic. I make my living using words, and I couldn't even form a single sentence. I was completely overwhelmed. A young scientist was there, and she held my hand. That connection, that single point of contact, broke through the chaos. And I then settled into this trip, and it was golden and it was mellow, and I felt full of love for everybody. And in the days that followed, I felt more connected to others, more open, less argumentative. And my family noticed that I seemed happier, more at ease, more relaxed. I'm not convinced that psychedelic drugs alone are the secret to happiness. I need to keep practicing feeling virtuous, being less argumentative, more open, more relaxed. Otherwise, that feeling, that profound benefit, is just going to melt away.
Mushies, hey? Yeah. Plant medicine, they're having a lot of success with mental illness like depression and things like this by microdosing on mushrooms, psilocybin. And he mentioned that it made him feel a lot more connected, you know, after the trip. And interesting, right? Because psilocybin is kind of the internet of the natural world. Right? Psilocybin, I think the biggest organism, I'm pretty sure, on Earth is psilocybin, a mushroom. So yeah, here it says the largest living organism on Earth is a fungus called Amylaria ostoi, also known as the honey mushroom or the humongous fungus. And it's in Oregon's Blue Mountains. But yeah, it's interesting that psilocybin connects, right? It sends out these networks that connect to each other and they talk to each other. And so is that the same thing going on in our consciousness when we take these mushrooms? Let me know. What are your experiences that you've had on mushies? Let me know in the comments.
I'm absolutely speechless with this hotel room. Okay, starting out, we've got this huge bath in the middle of the room, big enough to have inflatables, 270-degree views of the river, and in the nighttime, the skyline is breathtaking. This is in a city called Chongqing, which is magical in the evening. Yeah, coffee machine, Dyson hairdryer, even a Japanese toilet too. So the bed is absolutely ginormous. And if you press this button, a huge cinema screen drops down. The hotel itself is super futuristic. They have robots that deliver items straight to your room. And this incredibly immersive Stormy Spa is inside of the hotel. Would you stay here?
What is going on in China? Has anyone been there? Leave me a comment, please.
This is why I rarely take planes while in China.
The high-speed rail covers most of the country. You don't have to deal with airport security, and because the trains are so fast, oftentimes it's still faster than flying. My wife and I like to travel business class, and it's very cost-effective on the rail. Each person gets their own pod, a fully reclining seat, plus great snacks, and of course, slippers. All of this while traveling over 300 kilometers an hour.
For this particular trip, we're heading from Shenzhen to Guangzhou, and the trip is about just under an hour with a few stops along the way. And the total price for this, for both of us, was $67. So that is why I rarely take planes while in China.
Wow, right? You know, like those other videos, it looks pretty free. It doesn't look like it's a lockdown digital ID country, does it? And they're putting all this infrastructure in, like those trains, to let people travel at a cheap price in luxury. What's going on in China?
Anything you say with the words "I am," your subconscious will then take that as a command.
Fourth grade, I went in my closet, I said, I am going to the NBA. Anything you invoke with I am after it, the power of manifestation and what can happen in the universe comes true.
Every time you use the word I am, and you say I am weak, I am poor, that's blasphemy, because the highest place within you is called I am.
I don't want to be anything. I am everything I want to be, and I'm already there.
Whatever we say is what our life will be.
So this is why the people that live the most effective lives are always acting as if they're in the future and the future's perfect. You know, not waiting to get there.
Leave me your best I am in the comments. What are you? Like, what are you creating? Where are you living? Are you living in the past, bringing back the past and things that you thought you could have done better? Or are you living in the imagined future or in the present? Let me know. I mean, definitely the past, they can all be beneficial. This is the thing. We should definitely spend most of our time in the present, right? Because it's a gift. That's why it's called the present. And not in the past, because, most people who think about the past think about their perceived failures and mistakes. Of course, there are no mistakes. There's only mistakes. So if you are thinking about things that you could have done better in the past, well, redo them, but do them better, or focus on your wins and the imagined future. Yeah, you should be imagining where you want. You should be living there in your mind so that you're drawing it towards you constantly, right? We need to do this, and digital ID, all this fear porn, doom scrolling that's going on at the moment, guys. Where is your mind? What is your imagined future? Because, like I said, whatever it is, you're drawing yourself towards it.
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we're doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay?
We're doing the same thing.
And so it's just, you have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said.
Well, there he is, the king of woke, forcing behaviors. So what he was saying there is that basically if there's 54% of women in the population, then that should be every, workspace should have 54% of women, right? And color, race, gender, perceived gender, all this crap, right? Instead of getting the best people for the job, it's all about, no, we have to spread it out evenly and all this woke crap. And it just reminds me of the movie Brave New World, where they have all the different classes, right? That have to have their certain jobs. They have the what is it, alphas, betas, epsilons. And we see this in a lot of other sort of, dystopian type movies that they put everyone into these different classes and groups, and that's their assigned role for their whole life. So this is not good, right? But that's the CEO of BlackRock, right? And I don't think any of us thought he would be good, did we?
You won't believe what's behind the story of these weird-looking blue goggles. And this is a subject which has the least amount of search results on Google that I've ever seen for any other theory or conspiracy. So in the early 1900s, a guy named Walter Kilner, who you can't even find a picture of him on Google, developed a sort of dye from coal tar. So he took this collodion-coated dye-treated glass plates and put Dicenian dye, that's the thing from the coal tar, in the middle of this glass. And the story goes that with these glasses, you can see outside of the normal range of visible light. All of a sudden your eyeballs can detect different wavelengths and frequencies of light. And it's said to have enabled the user to see people's auras. And you could see how strong or how weak someone's aura is, which is the electromagnetic field that we all emanate, at least normal humans do. But where this gets a little crazy, it's said that Walter Kilner, when he wore these glasses in public, not everyone had an aura. Not just a weak aura, but no aura at all. You remember the movie They Live? When he puts on glasses and he can see the aliens in the crowd that normally without the glasses just look like normal humans? Some say this movie was actually based on the events of Dicenian glass. And then, of course, Walter's place gets raided and all of his equipment confiscated, and this gets totally buried and no one knows anything about it to this day, except for a couple stories floating around the internet. So I'm going to try to get some Dicenium and make my own Dicenium glasses, and I'll see if you're real.
Dicenium glasses, yeah. Does anyone know where to get some? I've been looking at, you can find a few online, but they don't look genuine. They're all from China and stuff. Have you seen any real ones? Have you put any on? What did you see? Because we also have this story from Vietnam, the Vietnam War, where helicopter pilots they were wearing infrared glasses and they started seeing demons everywhere. So it's interesting, right? Looking outside of our visible spectrum, because this is what I think is happening is I think our frequency is rising, and as that rises, our visible spectrum will go up. So we'll get more of the top end and we'll lose the bottom end. And I think this is what the split is, right? The whole underlying, deep dark energies of this world will just cease to exist for us. They'll be out of our range of perception. But yeah, let me know. Do you know where to get any?
When we import people from countries who have a backwards, barbaric view of women, Western women and girls are in danger. Now, when I say backwards and barbaric views of women, you know exactly what I mean. I don't want to speak for everyone here, but in my opinion, if your culture includes covering your women head to toe so your men don't assault them, I don't want it here. If your culture includes sex-selective abortions, killing children just because they're girls, I don't want it here. If your culture views Western women as dirty, as pieces of meat, I don't want it here. If your culture believes in honor killings when family members step out of line, I don't want it here. If your culture believes in sorting out your differences by stabbing each other with machetes, I don't want it here. If you truly cared about protecting Australian women, you'd stop importing people from cultures that don't respect us. Now, if we can't get those dickheads in Canberra to listen to us and to put a stop to the influx of people that we're importing, then women and girls will be sacrificed at the altar of multiculturalism. Our children deserve to feel safe in their country. Our children deserve to be proud of their country. Our children deserve Australia. I'll end with this. Some cultures are better than others. Yes! There's a reason people want to move here. There's a reason that Western countries are being flooded with immigrants, and there's a reason that they don't want to go back home. That reason is our culture, our Anglo culture, our quality of life, our way of life, our beautiful country. Our country is worth fighting for, and as long as we continue to have the pride and the passion that I'm seeing here today, then at least they'll know that we won't go down without a fight. Thank you all. God bless.
Wow, a proud Anglo-Saxon Caucasian white boy here. And, we've covered this topic a few times before on this channel, and please do let me know your thoughts on it. But, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. All of these things go on in countries, right? Certain countries. And it's definitely going on where these cultures are being imported to. We've mentioned it before. Sweden is now the rape capital of the world. And this is going on all throughout Europe, right? Where, women are being victimized and SA'd and all this kind of stuff. And of course, I'm not saying that everyone in these cultures or even religions are inherently bad. I do believe, the statistics tell us that these, immigrants that are being imported are 80% males, right? And they're like young males, fighting age males, as they say. So it's not like they're importing a cross section or families who want things better. And also, like she said, why do they all want to come to our countries? My solution is that we fix their countries so they don't need to leave. But of course, this is all just part of the bigger story, right? The bigger script where they just want to pit us against each other and create division. Because when we're fighting at each other and pointing at each other, we think that each other is the problem and the enemy. And the allies sit back and laugh. We all need to get together and start pointing at the real enemy, which is the allies, the control system.
Money is debt, school makes you stupid, half of what we call medicine is drugs, and half of what we call drugs is medicine. Religion makes you ignorant of true spirituality, possession is an idea, power is a concept, and we are all God.
Yes, agree. That's so, we've been talking about it the whole show, right? It's all a control system. It's all a show. It's all stuff to make us believe a certain reality. And when we do that, we actually help create that reality when we're all focused on it, right? Because we are the creators. We are God. We are all fractals of God. And we are powerful, and they are not. That's why they spend so much time trying to program us, right? Because they can't create anything themselves. It's us. So all we need to do is see through the BS, understand it's all a show, and shift our attention into what we actually want to create. Well, there you go, guys. That's another one done and dusted. Hope you enjoyed that. Please do leave me your comments and give me a like. Subscribe, of course, hit the bell, all that kind of good stuff. And stay awesome. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Paco. Paco.
We know we go to steal.